You think you know who you are, a person with a name, a story, and a set of thoughts you call your own. This sense of I feels familiar, continuous, undeniable. Yet every attempt to define it collapses. Your moods change, your thoughts contradict, your memories fade. Still, you insist that somewhere within all this change, there must be a constant, a real you waiting to be found. Ibn Arabi questioned this confidence. He asked, if the one you seek changes with every observation, what exactly are you trying to see? Perhaps the self you search for is not hidden but falsely assumed. The blindness, then, is not the failure to see, but the insistence on seeing something that was never separate from seeing itself. Ibn Arabi lived in 12th and 13th century Andalusia, a time when philosophy, theology, and mysticism met in dialogue. Known as Al-Sheikh al-Akbar, the greatest master, he brought reason and revelation into one inquiry, the nature of being. For him, knowledge of the self was not psychological, but ontological. To know yourself was to know reality itself, because there was only one existence expressing itself through countless forms. What you call you is not a private possession, but a disclosure of the real, all hack, within awareness. Thus, his question about seeing the real you was never about personality. It was about being recognizing itself. You live by assumption. You assume continuity because memory links moments into a story. You assume control because thought precedes action. But when attention turns inward, the one who claims ownership cannot be found. Only the movement of thoughts, appearing and vanishing. The mind creates identity as a stabilizing pattern, not as truth. Ibn Arabi said this habit of identity hides the true actor behind all things. The self is not the source of life. It is one expression of it. Every thought of my choice or my experience belongs not to a separate you, but to the reality manifesting as you. If that is true, then what exactly are you seeing when you say, I see myself? You try to know yourself by observing yourself. Yet every act of observation divides the field, an observer and something observed. When you look within, a subtle distance forms. You stand apart from what you are trying to understand. This division sustains the illusion of two realities, one that looks and one that is looked at. Ibn Arabi warned that as long as this division exists, the real remains unseen. The real cannot be an object, because it is the seeing itself. The moment you imagine, I am looking at me, the unity of seeing fractures into a duality that never existed outside thought. Every perception seems to belong to you. You see, you think, you decide, or so it feels. But the act always happens before the claim arises. The seeing occurs. Then the mind says, I saw. The thought arises. Then the mind says, I thought. This ownership is the first veil, Ibn Arabi explained. The illusion that you are the cause of what unfolds. In truth, there is only one actor, the real, performing through infinite forms. The individual merely narrates what has already occurred. When ownership dissolves, seeing becomes pure participation. But can you exist without claiming what happens? Can there be life without the thought, this is mine? Ibn Arabi distinguished between the real, all-hack, and the apparent calc. The real alone truly exists. What appears as separate beings, events, or selves are modes of that single reality. When the real manifests, it looks like multiplicity. When it is known, multiplicity resolves into unity. The mind, however, perceives only the forms, not the essence that animates them. You see surfaces, movements, names, but not the single reality expressing as each. The you, who seems to live apart, is only one point of manifestation. Thus, your blindness is not the lack of sight, but misdirection. You search for substance where there is only reflection. If the real is the seer, can the seen ever stand apart from it? Gradually you see the paradox. The effort to see the real you assumes two, one who seeks and one who is sought. Yet if awareness is already present in every act of seeking, who remains to find it? The search itself sustains the illusion. Ibn Arabi said, "Realization is not the discovery of something hidden, but the ending of division." When the seer collapses into seeing, there is no subject left to observe, no object left to be found. Only the unbroken fact of awareness remains selfless, constant, and complete. Can knowledge exist without a knower? Can seeing exist without the claim of a seer? Ibn Arabi's teaching of Wadat al-Wujud, the unity of being, begins here. Existence is not divided. It is a single seamless field. Every being is a temporary form through which the real knows itself. Your consciousness is not personal awareness, but the real self-awareness localized for a moment. The eye cannot see itself, yet without it, nothing could be seen. In the same way, the real you cannot appear as an object of perception, because it is the power behind all perception. The mystery ends in simplicity. You are not apart from the act of seeing. You are the seeing itself. The question that began this search, "Why can't I see the real me?" begins to lose meaning. The real you was never an object to be revealed. It was the background of every experience, the constant presence within which the question itself arose. The blindness was not lack of vision, but the refusal to recognize unity. Ibn Arabi's insight does not demand belief but observation. Separation is impossible. The self that seeks is itself an appearance within the very reality it pursues. When the mind sees this directly, the search falls silent. Nothing was ever hidden, only misnamed as I. You began by trying to see the real you. Now you understand that there was never a you apart from reality to be seen. What you call self was a passing configuration. Thought reflecting thought, form reflecting form. The real was not waiting to be found. It was the ground of every finding. Ibn Arabi's answer is simple. What truly exists cannot appear as something else, because it is the very act of appearing. To know this is not to gain new knowledge, but to lose the illusion of ownership, of separation, of search. What remains is clarity without claimant, awareness without division. The inquiry ends where it began, in the quiet understanding that the real you was never other than the seeing itself.